Oh, yeah, I should have introduced you, really. That's John.
Hi, John.
Hi, Zsòfi.
Yeah, dude, like, I'm just going to start. We haven't done this in a long time now.
No, I know. It's been good. I've got a list of questions written down like you asked me to.
Okay,
I'm prepped.
good. Yeah, when was the last podcast? When did we last record?
Oh, geez.
Billy's one, I think, but I don't know when it was.
Mate, I ain't got a clue. Can't remember.
Yeah, last year at some point in the summer.
I don't think I haven't been out for 4.5 months. Everything's just blended into one. I ain't got a clue.
Yeah, sure.
Couldn't even tell you what day it is most of the time.
Well, it would have been before September anyway, because that's obviously when I left the first time around. Okay, cool. Yeah, so today obviously we've got Zsòfi from Budapest. How do you say it properly?
Zsòfi or Budapest?
Budapest. Yeah, so we're just going to talk like we have with the other podcasts about like life and traveling and things like that. So I guess yeah, let's start with that. Like, what is your traveling experience like? How have you been backpacking? Well, I know you have because you went to Thailand. So yeah, like why don't you just speak about that for a bit, and then John can ask questions as well.
Right. So yeah, I've had one longer trip to Asia. It was like half a year, and I was traveling around in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Laos. Like that was my first trip as a solo traveler.
Yeah.
Because before with my parents, we went to Malaysia and Borneo.
So you went there like with your parents before in the past?
Yeah, for a month.
And is that like why you went again? Because you had that kind of experience and you knew what it was like, or?
Yeah, kind of. But actually, when I was planning my my trip, this longer trip, I was hesitating between Africa and Asia, and then I decided Asia because first I knew the place.
Yeah.
Almost, and second because I thought that as a female solo traveler, it would be much safer.
Sure.
For the first time.
Like I've thought about doing Africa as well, but I think even as just a solo traveler in general, I feel like Africa is quite a hardcore place to backpack.
Yeah.
So yeah, I probably would have chosen Asia too. John, any questions from a non-backpacker perspective?
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of a background, Zsòfi, I'm probably what you would consider fairly uncultured in terms of travel. Most of my holidays have either been family holidays or sort of lads' holidays abroad, not really to pick up the culture of other places, unfortunately. So I suppose my interest would be what's landed you in Leipzig at the moment? Where have you been on your current trip to get to this point?
Well, this is a shorter trip because I've just quit my job, and I wanted to just go somewhere, and I searched for workaway places, and I found this one, and I just came here for like 2 months, less than 2 months. I'll have there will be a workshop in Berlin which I have to attend, and then I'm going back to Budapest because I have plans, and yeah, I have things to do there.
What was your previous job?
I was a concert organizer at a quite well-known concert hall at the Liszt Academy. It's a university too. And yeah, that was it. I've been doing it for like 4 years.
Sure. And you just got bored of it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of things like like the quarantine definitely was part of it.
Sure.
And yeah, also I think I've been doing it for too long. I felt quite tired, and although I actually liked it and I think I was quite good at it, yeah,
I suppose it's normal human nature though. Once you've been doing something for quite a long period of time, even if it's something you enjoy, it becomes almost mundane. Do you know what I mean? It's like repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, like monotone. And
actually, like that's one thing that I think obviously we should like never stop learning. And although it's like that kind of we spoke about earlier actually, where you're always like maybe it's a bad thing that you're always chasing something new or wanting something new. But I think when it comes down to skill sets and education, things like that, I can't see any harm in always progressing something new. And after you've done something for 4 years, like I did IT for 10 years, and yeah, it's fantastic and it serves me well whilst I'm traveling. But I'm bored of it now. I don't want to work in that industry, and so I'm looking for something else to do. You know.
Yeah, but you know, I think there are people who are quite okay with doing the same thing.
Sure, yeah, I know people who have worked like 20, 30 years in one job, and I just think, no way.
Or maybe, I don't know, or maybe they just don't feel like or don't have the courage or the confidence to change. I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree with that actually. I think one of the biggest reasons I'm probably not as well travelled as I'd like to be is the confidence of actually going to somewhere that's completely foreign to you by yourself, and just having the bravery to do it, and with the language barriers and everything like that. I suppose it's really throwing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and it's fine. Like obviously there are some people that want to stay within the comfort zone. I'd probably be a pretty decent example of that for the majority of the time. But yeah, I suppose once you've been doing something for as long as you've been doing it, if you're that way minded that you want to go out and experience new things, and you're not, you know, afraid or not confident enough to do it, then you just sort of throw yourself out there and go for it.
Yeah, it's only, yeah, with me, it's like I'm kind of mixed up because like I have these periods of like a few years, and then I have to like change drastically. And now I'm quite don't know whether it's just escaping or is it like something I really need from time to time, or I don't know. It's just hard to.
I think even I have that thought process as well. Like, am I running away from something? And I guess in like some concepts I am, but you know, there's always the phrase run away or whatever it is, live to fight another day sort of thing. And I just feel like there's some battles that are just not worth fighting. Like, why stay around? Why hang around to try and fight a battle that you're just not interested in winning? Why not just leave and go somewhere else? And like, you're always going to have problems wherever you go. But, you know, the experience in different situations with different problems and different fights will help you resolve more. So actually, you might come across the same problem. I think if the same problem is repeating itself in every place you go to, then obviously, then I would say you're running away from something, and it will catch up with you. But for me, for sure, like whenever I leave the UK, I feel just so much more productive, more energetic. Like lots. I'm a different character. I'm a different personality in England to where I am now.
Yeah, actually, I have this traveling mode button in me, and when I'm going abroad, it's like it just automatically switches on, and then I have the confidence. I I know I can make it. I know that whatever comes, I will solve the issues and problems. So yeah.
I think actually that's one big, I like that, because where I worked in IT, my biggest thing was like problem solving. And actually I've always played like strategy games and things like that. And yeah, you're right. Traveling is almost constantly problem solving. Like, what train do I get? What bus do I get? Like, oh, I've missed something. What do I do? Or
and decision making.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it really does enhance your skills with decision making, and
quite
actually,
quick decision making as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I also wanted to touch on is because obviously you're doing Workaway. John knows what it is because I speak to him a lot, but obviously other people don't know. So it's basically just you volunteer for accommodation and food, and you just do whatever the experience is. So it could be farms, or like we're house sitting at the moment in Leipzig. And like, how does that affect you with your traveling? Like Workaway, it's super beneficial, right?
Yeah. Actually, when I was in Asia, I did like mixture of Workaway and traveling.
Sure.
Which was really good. Like just the right amount of everything.
It just makes it so much more like doable. Give me a better word. Yeah, accessible. Sure. Like, because food and accommodation is your like most expensive thing, other than the bus journey or the plane journey, whatever the method of travel. They're like your three most expensive things. So if you can, remove two of those just to work 4 hours a day, like it's nothing. And then you can explore everywhere from here. And like Leipzig has been amazing. Like actually, because we're in a center, and it's like an urban farm. No. Yeah. Okay. So they have all their own fruit and veg in the garden. Like, we've literally had days where we've just had lunch from the garden with like eggs from the chickens, and just had like an egg salad. So it's been
self-sufficient.
Yeah, in the city, which is really nice. And they could easily, like, I mean, the size of their garden, they probably could even get more chickens and support a neighbor with the amount of eggs they get.
Yeah. But you see, it's not only like financially great to do Workaways. It's like when you travel and like you sleep in another city like every day or every 2 or 3 days, it's just so great to have kind of a home for a few weeks or even months. And the other thing is, which we are actually experiencing here, is that like be with the host, get to know their lifestyle, and also like get in touch with their friends and family, and have new connections.
So you get the cultural experience as well.
Well, I suppose it automatically introduces you to new people, because I suppose I know really from talking to Ricky on the previous Workaways that he's done, more often than not, there's other Workaways there with you, and it gives you people to, to socialise with straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just to backtrack slightly, I apologise for doing this, but I obviously jumped straight in, Zsòfi, to your current trip without realising you'd been on so many previous ones. So would it be all right if you just kind of gave me a little bit of background to the previous trips that you've been on?
Like solo or with my family? What do you mean?
I suppose
it would be interesting to have like just a basic like life story, I guess, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
like
just
a traveling, like a travel story of your first ones, presumably with your parents, and then your solo ones, and what really gave you the bug for it to do it solo, I suppose.
All right. Okay, so I was born in a small town in northern Hungary, and we moved to Budapest because my dad got a job there. And with that company, he had the opportunity to travel and like explore and whatever, because they had trainings and whatever. And I think he was my inspiration really, because like after a few years he took us like everywhere, not with the company trips, but like what he arranged and he organized.
And where were those trips? Like when you say everywhere, like everywhere in Hungary or just all over the world?
No, mostly. Well, we've been in Kenya, in Zanzibar,
Oh, wow.
in Egypt, in Greece, in Cape Verde, in
Sure.
Spain.
Wow, that's very impressive. You sound very cultured. I've got to say, us Brits have a bit of a reputation for perhaps going abroad and then trying to replicate Britain in the other country that we've travelled to. Would you say that it's very different for you? Would you say that everywhere you've been, you've just embraced the culture of the other country?
Yeah, I mean,
Actually, to be fair, Budapest is almost like an English fucking colony as well, with the amount of stag do's that go there.
no.
So actually, it's like a kind of sad experience, maybe, with all the drunk English people walking around.
Yeah, kind of.
Don't hold back, Zsòfi, it's fine.
Yeah, really, it's good to get this out, because actually I think maybe the majority of my listeners are English, and it's good to make them aware that they kind of ruin places.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what I said to you earlier, Zsòfi, I think I've only really been on to 2 countries where I really feel like I've embraced that other country's culture rather than being like a laddie Englishman abroad, so to speak. And that would be Australia, because my dad's sister and her family lived there. So that was really cool, because when we travelled there, we would stay with them. And though, yes, they emigrated from England, they've been living in Australia for years. So they're like well in to the Australian culture. So the places that we went to with them were not, you know, your standard tourist places like Bondi Beach and stuff like that. They took us to places that that perhaps English people travelling there themselves wouldn't go to. And the other place would actually be to Tenerife. Me and Ricky travelled there, just the 2 of us, shortly after Rick had a bad leg break playing football, and we sort of went there as a little bit of a recovery for him. And like some of the food that we ate on that trip and some of the restaurants that we went to, just on the off chance, because Ricky spoke to a passing stranger, which, you know, I have to fully give to him, because my Spanish was nowhere near up to scratch to be having that sort of conversation. I don't know, I suppose I just come away from those holidays feeling like they were better in a sense. They sort of gave me more experiences.
Maybe more meaning as well, being somewhere.
Yeah, like experiencing it for what it's like for the people that actually live there, rather than just going to a clubbing strip. Don't get me wrong, the clubbing holidays were a good experience as well, but for completely other reasons. Yeah, I guess I kind of do wish that some of the places that I'd been to, I might have seen a little bit more of what the locals see on a daily basis.
Other than the drunk English people.
Yeah, well, I was one of them in those instances, but yeah.
Actually,
well, so was you, Rick.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, we've got many stories that we won't go into. But actually in Tenerife, that was, yeah, before I even really, I mean, I always had the kind of dream to go solo traveling, but Tenerife for, I don't know how old we were, around 21, 22. At 22, I would have been 22. So I don't know, I'd never been solo traveling before that point. So it's interesting that, like, you know, I actually did try to speak to locals at that point. I think I was already kind of like on my way to getting to where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah. And apologies there, Sophie. I kind of cut you off at the point of your family trips. So where did you start going to when you started doing it solo? And I don't know, what really gave you the confidence to just go and do it?
Well, I can't remember my first solo trip.
Do you know roughly how many you've been on?
I don't know. Well, I've been to London, like to visit my boyfriend. I think that was my first one when I was 18, and yeah, from then on, I've been to Paris and yeah, basically in European cities. But yeah, I've been traveling with friends too, and like obviously without my family. But these trips usually were like kind of a cultural experiencing. We weren't really into drinking and clubbing and whatever. So we usually, yeah, we usually went to these touristy places, but then I found that what more interests me is like, how do those people live, and yeah, like what are their views on life and such. And when I went to Asia, like my first workaway place was with a Muslim family in the jungle, in a farm. And yeah, when I arrived, I knew like, this is it. Like, it's completely different. I have to learn the rules. Obviously the environment was really new, and the job itself, the work, and yeah, and in my Asia trip, I was seeking for these opportunities especially, and yeah.
So you definitely prefer solo travel then, I take it?
Yeah, well, there was a purpose. I quit my job at that time and wanted to go travel. It was like more of a personal development thing. I had some issues, and yeah, I thought I needed a change. And yeah, it was a very, very good decision to make for me, because during traveling I've learned so many things of myself and of other people, and yeah, when I came back, I felt so much more confident than I used to.
I suppose that's the benefit of solo travel, though. Me and Ricky have had a conversation fairly similar to this in the past, but I guess because you're completely alone and there's nobody with you, you can't become dependent on another person, that person can't become dependent on you, and it just gives you so much more time and opportunity to just focus on yourself. Like an example, me and Ricky in Tenerife, Ricky got us to the restaurant because he could speak the language. If I was there by myself, I'm not going to the restaurant. So I was dependent on him for that scenario. So it just gives you the sort of opportunity to just completely work on yourself.
Yeah, sure. But it actually didn't mean that I wasn't meeting people and traveling with them for a short time. But yeah, obviously, traveling solo. Yeah, it's just, yeah, being independent and
more freedom.
yeah.
Sure. I've got like two things written down that I want to talk about, because I know obviously you're choir, and I'd like to talk more about that, because I feel like that's more personal to you.
Yeah.
And your singing. And also we can talk about Leipzig and what you think about Leipzig, because we're here and we might as well, you know, tell our listeners or whatever how Leipzig is if they want to come here. So yeah, sure. What do you want to start with?
Let's start with the choir.
Okay, cool. So like, when did your assistant conductor?
Yeah.
You wave your stick up in the air.
Not really. Actually, I'm not a trained musician.
Okay.
I've been singing like since the age of 4. Like I remember sitting on my grandma's lap and singing.
Yeah, nice, beautiful.
And yeah, when I was a child, I was a member of the Hungarian radio student choir for quite a long time, and when I stopped, I was looking for something, yeah, a choir and actually a community, and yeah, I found Soha Rosa, that's the name of the choir, for like, it was like 6, almost 7 years ago. And it's quite it's an experimental choir, which means we have so much freedom, and we improvise a lot, and we improvise not only with our voice, but with movements and strange sounds and body percussion and whatever. And we have several performances, always something new, always something interesting and out of our comfort zone and such.
So you wear like different outfits, right, as well?
Yeah, but not in every performance. But yeah, we have collaborations with several artists, and the last 2 were catwalk concerts, which meant that we, the singers, are wearing like very nice and extreme costumes on the stage. And
like what? Describe it.
Yeah, like you know, for example, there's this performance called Taboo, which is obviously about taboos, such as death and sex and menstruation and gender questions, and
your dad just walked in the background. Yeah, sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, and yeah, for example, at the menstruation scene, there are women in white, beautiful costumes, and at a certain point, they just fold it or adjust it, and then you can see the red stain, is it called?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, with like flitters and pearls and whatever. So it's a really aesthetic way.
Are you
to get the message across? Yeah, I'm following. Sorry, I muted there just because my dad had come in the room for a drink. But I guess it's a very visual way to connect with the audience.
Yeah, dancing periods, sure.
Yeah, but this is just an example.
Yeah, sure. No, but it's interesting. If I was to think of a choir, like I'd just think of schoolboys or church boys or something like that. You know, like,
I mean, I've been in a choir, but as Ricky says, it was very,
really?
Well, it was very traditional, and it honestly didn't last very long. I was in a choir in my primary school, and I also went into the choir for my secondary school and done one performance, which was at a local shopping centre around Christmas time, where we went and sung Christmas carols out front of a like a pop-up Santa's grotto that had been put up in the shopping centre for the kids. And shortly after that performance, my voice changed fairly drastically. Oh, got a voice crack out of that as well. There we go. Just
to remind you.
Just to remind me. And yeah, I couldn't hit the notes anymore, as it were. So yeah, I gave up at that point. But it was very, very traditional. It was basically just singing Christian choirs and stuff like that in school. And then that one time in public, so very, very different. But
that's the aim. Is it the right word? So that's the aim of this choir, and our conductor Dora Halas. She wanted to break out from these conventional choir singing thing, because actually, like, I know I've been doing it, and I know it's beautiful and still love to listen to it, but like, also, like, when you move or when you try different things with your body and voice, that just frees you, and it's much more possibilities to make sounds and music. Sure. and also in this choir, like, collective composing is really important, so that the members are actually creative music makers. And we just put together what we have.
It's fine. We had Billy on, who was in a punk rock band, and he had a similar sort of thing. Like, they were kind of writing their own music, and I think all four of them basically wrote, and then they just mixed it all together, and that's how they produced their songs. So it's quite nice, I think, people working collaboratively. Yeah, thanks. We were out last night. We went to a rave, or I don't know, can you call it a rave? A techno party. So I'm still not like all there.
So you said earlier, Zsòfi, that the starting point for the inspiration of travel was your dad. But as that's progressed, do you travel to places in order to see what sort of choir music the different countries have on offer?
You mean to discover, or?
So when you go to a different country, will you go and watch choirs in the different countries to see what it's like in other cultures?
Yeah. Like, here in Leipzig, we went to a sermon because there was an ensemble singing. It was really beautiful. And also, like, during my Asian trip, I was collecting some songs from there. I love. Actually, I really love singing songs from the other part of the world, because not only because they are exotic for me, but also because they use a different kind of technique, and it's great to discover it.
Experiment with them.
Yeah.
Sure.
So do you take those back with you when you do return to Hungary? Do you try to incorporate them in compositions that you're putting together with your own choir?
Actually, it's not my choir. It's just, I'm a member of it, and I'm gonna just.
Sorry, I phrased that badly.
No. So I try to. I'd love to. Actually, from my Asia trip, I couldn't manage to bring back any songs we could use. But yeah, definitely. And actually, when you are there, like in the middle of some really different culture, then like the music you hear from here and there, and I don't know, and the sounds that surround you, it can really be kind of an inspiration.
Yeah, very emotive, very emotive.
Yeah, so I guess I'm bringing those back, maybe subconsciously, or how.
Sure.
Yeah,
it'll be wired into you, and the next song you make may have that element, or obviously you can use your cognitive memory to say, I want to write an Eastern Asian style theme song or something, whatever. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
Do you, I know this is a really difficult question and probably not one that I should ask, but do you have a favourite country that you've been to in terms of the music that you've listened to while you've been there?
Who?
Yeah, I know.
I think it's an interesting one, though. It's better than just asking, what's your favourite country?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that's something that you love to experience in the different places you go, I know it's a difficult question because obviously you kind of don't want to have a favourite because you want to enjoy the bits from the different countries that you've enjoyed for what they are. But is there one that sort of stuck out for you?
Actually, in Indonesia, they have their music. It's called gamelan, and it's kind of percussion music, let's say, with different kinds of really strange instruments. And they have a different scale too. So for the European ear, it's something very, very different. And even like may sound a bit not correct.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And when I was in Indonesia, actually I met a friend there. She was studying gamelan music in Indonesia, and so we went to several music events, and yeah, that music is something I'd like to learn more about. Yeah, they have like it's not only instrumental, but sometimes they sing too, and it's a very special kind of singing. Also, as I said, the scale is different, so yeah, it would be lovely to learn it, but it takes a lot of time. Yeah.
I
Do you document the music? Oh, sorry, Ricky.
No, go on, John.
I was going to say, do you document the music in any way? Now, I know that sounds like a really strange question, but I suppose, do you keep a diary or a journal of what you've listened to where, or are you able to record any of the music that you hear?
Yeah, I usually record a short excerpt.
Yeah.
From this music, yeah, and even if yeah, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, don't worry, your English is very, very good. It's a hell of a lot better than my Hungarian would be.
Well, thanks.
I just want to go back, because like you said that obviously singing and stuff, like you remember it sitting on your grandmother's lap. But how easy was it to follow that? Because like in England, we have a very like linear path. So you go to school and it's kind of setting you up to work in an office.
Mm.
How easy was it for you to say, yeah, I don't want to do that? Like, I'm not too sure, because Hungary as far as I'm aware, is still has quite a lot of communist presence, and so like I don't know how exactly it works properly there. And like, would you say that people are like more pushed into a certain kind of job, and was it hard for you to stay away from that path or whatever? Like, do you understand the question?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah, my parents' generation, they were raised in a way that they have a path, and like usually, like during the socialist era, it was like everyone had a job, and they didn't really like it, but not so much effort, and they did it, and and that was it. No possibilities to change, or very few. So my parents were raised in this mindset, and for me, I'm quite open to a lot of things, and it's really hard to commit to one thing only, except music, actually. It wasn't easy, especially to let my parents have it accepted.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's hard for them to accept that you didn't want to just get a job and a career and work.
Yeah,
sure.
And and I'm not a very ambitious kind of person, so obviously they want the best thing for me, and since they think that this is the best way, they wanted me to follow one path, but obviously it's just not not for me.
I think most parents kind of have that sort of, I guess that, look, they pass on what they were taught, right? And I know I also have the similar thing with my dad, and actually one of the reasons why I had to leave during quarantine, because I was getting fed up in the house. It was too much, too many people in a closed area, but like, he really struggles to understand that I'm not making money right now. Like right now, everything I do is wasting money or losing money. Like I'm not funding myself at the moment, but I see it more as an investment in myself. And you know, he's just never, I don't think he can understand that. Yeah, sure. So I can 100% get the parent thing.
The interesting thing there, though, Rick, is with the type of work that you've previously done, you could possibly, I know you don't want to, but you could possibly do that job remotely from wherever you are.
Yeah, I think if if there was accessibility and flexibility in such a role, then I would. But the issue is maybe with COVID and everybody working from home, culture might change a little bit around office expectancies, but I still think there's going to be that regime of 9 till 5, regardless of whether you're working. And when you're traveling, and especially if I'm doing work away, it's not possible, because I need to do the 4 hours here. I mean, in fairness, I wouldn't need to do the work away because I'd be earning money. And
but the work away, as we've spoken about, offers
not
you
only
experience and sociability with others.
Sure. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's what you start sacrificing. But I would rather attain experience within cultures and things like that than obviously just working to travel. It's almost like you know, the old rat race phrase where you say I work. I live to work, or work to live, whatever fucking thing goes. and yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of doing at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, but with Sophie's work, it wouldn't really be. It doesn't sound to me as like be something that you could do whilst moving around. Or am I wrong there?
You could probably settle down somewhere for a few months, like if you found an orchestra or a choir or whatever for 6 months, I'm sure.
I'm not sure whether they hire someone for such a short time, because it takes time to learn how things are going, and yeah,
Composition can take ages as well, can't it, I suppose?
Yeah, and of course, like COVID, because of COVID, there are no concerts, no theater, no, and it's really like insecure,
Unstable.
It's a very unstable
situation right now. Yeah.
But actually, like we can move into like Leipzig here, and Germany's pretty relaxed during the COVID situation right now. Like, you just have to wear a mask in the supermarket or in shops and on the public transport. But I already slowly see people stopping that now. I've seen people on public transport without masks, and actually, like, the law has changed in certain parts of Germany. But then again, I think still some of the cities are locked down almost. I'm not sure, but I know like Frankfurt was locked down when I first got here. That was like 5 or 6 weeks ago. But I mean, I'm just going to start off with Leipzig. Like, it's such a strange city. It's like a non-capitalistic city. It's completely contradictory of itself. Everyone is like a non-conformist, but they're still living a capitalistic society. It's a strange one.
Non-conformers that are still conforming.
Yes. And like, so you have like, everyone's got their own style. It's nice. Like, everyone's got their own style. Everyone has their own confidence, and there's like really cool street art everywhere. And
what I really like is like the tolerance and the acceptance toward people.
Sure.
Do what you like and be who you want to be, and it's great.
Yeah, there is quite a high level of respect here, actually.
I felt that quite a lot. I know it's completely fairly irrelevant in terms of travel, but we went to Cardiff, a city in Wales, for Ricky's 25th, was it?
Yeah.
25th birthday, and I actually took away from that place. It was a really quirky place. It was a university city, I suppose, and it felt really niche, and it did feel like you could be what you wanted to be there, and nobody was going to judge you for it. That's the real vibe I took away from there, and that sort of certainly isn't the vibe that you get living in North London, where me and Rick are from.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Cardiff is like, you still have the castles, and you still have like a lot of tourism in that respect, and so there's a lot of things that you wouldn't want. Like, there's a point where street art becomes vandalism.
Yeah, of course.
And with Leipzig, I mean, it's East Germany, so it's like communist. So when the wall came down and like the rules changed, like everything came down. Like, people didn't care anymore. They wanted to live their own way. And so like, we're in quite an industrial area at the moment. The street art is heavy, but then the buildings are all like knocked down, and people are slowly buying them and then turning them into like hostels or like cool places to live. Like, that's one thing I've learned is like the accommodation is super cheap here.
Well, the hosts that you're staying with at the moment, I know they're away, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't their house an old warehouse?
In a respect, like, it's more of an office building, but yeah, if you looked at it from the outside, it looks like maybe like an old brewery or something. It would look like an old factory warehouse. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's really cool to see that. Like, actually, yeah, this workaway has been really good. Like, I mean, harvesting the honey on our first week.
Yeah.
That was really nice. So we've just been eating raw honey for this whole time.
Yeah, I know. Beautiful.
And yeah, like, what else have we been doing? So we look after the chickens every day.
Yeah, the turkeys. watering.
And there's 2 cats,
Yeah.
occasionally some raccoons. I walked in on a family of raccoons eating all the cat food one time. And the goldfish. Don't forget the goldfish. I almost forgot them this morning. Yeah, and then other than that, it's just like water in the garden, because this is one thing I don't necessarily agree with, but just like it's a man-made garden, right? So there's plants like everywhere, and there's almost no structure to it, and so each plant is really fighting for survival because there's not enough water in the ground, so it needs watering every single day. And I would prefer a more natural garden myself, but like
sorry, Sophie, please.
Yeah, so because of the location of the space, sure, and the soil is not good.
Yeah,
so
the soil is terrible. Yeah.
It needs a lot of work. I was just going to say there's no structure to nature though, but I obviously understand that it's somewhat overcrowded.
Yeah, that's what I would use. It's just an overcrowded garden with the plants. I mean, it looks beautiful when you walk through it, like it's almost like a city jungle. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting stuff. And the other good thing about Leipzig is I always joke when people go to England and they ask like how far away everything is. It's always a 2-hour trip. If you want to go from North London to South London, or east to west, or England to the seaside, it doesn't matter where you're going. 2 hours. It's the most average trip distance. Well, in Leipzig, everything is 20 minutes. If I'm going to the bar next door, it's 20 minutes. If I'm going to the other side of Leipzig, it's 20 minutes. It's just always 20 minutes on a bike. And that's actually, but being able to ride around, you can live in this city for so cheap, because you can ride everywhere. Like there's good cycling lanes. Everyone has a bike. Like I said, the rent accommodation is cheap. The food in Germany is like justifiable as well. It's not too expensive.
Except if you go out to eat, because then like some kind of a service is attached to something, then like the price is quite high.
Yeah, restaurant food and food in general, if it's cooked, is really expensive in Germany. But I think that just comes from the fact that they expect high wages. So they charge a lot for the food. Like really, if you go out for even like lunch, I would be surprised if you can find something less than £7 or €7, which is
how are you both finding the food? Because obviously food's a massive part of culture when you're traveling.
Well, there's lots of wurst here, sausages, and since I'm a vegetarian, I couldn't experience that.
It's all right. I'm sick and tired of the fucking sausages anyway. So.
Yeah, but beer is good.
Yeah, the beer's interesting. Yeah, beer culture is quite big in Germany, and actually I've had quite a few ales in Leipzig, so they're quite popular here as well.
The beers served. I know it's a very sort of perhaps not British thing, perhaps even more an English thing, but I have this vision in Germany that the beers are all served with a massive foam head. Yeah, and I know that in England at least, if you went to a pub and somebody poured you a pint and it had a huge head on it, you would say to the bar staff, can you fill it up please, because that isn't a pint. We tend to have our beer right up to the brim with nothing on top of it.
Yeah, it's typical.
There was a party here in the house, like just before our host went, and there's a tap.
Yeah, they have their own tap in the house, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and Ricky was like pouring a beer, and he said like, okay, I'm gonna show you the English way. Like no head on top.
Not the stupid German way. No, it's the beer culture is big here. Food, it's maybe actually again, Leipzig, it's like the non-conformist thing. So like there's so many vegan and vegetarian restaurants here. But typically like Germany from the experience I've had here, and I've spent like 3 months in Germany in the last year. Pork is like the main thing. Always, everywhere, pork.
Interesting thing you say there, Rick. You say that there's loads of vegan and vegetarian. You're obviously saying that as a meat eater. So would you agree, Zsòfi, that there are a fair amount of vegetarian and vegan places?
Yeah, sure. There are. Yeah, absolutely.
Where's
Dude, I
been
know
the
there
best
are because I
place?
can't find anywhere to fucking eat.
All right, fair enough. Where's been the best place that, like as a vegetarian, where's been your favourite country for the food culture?
I would say Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Or Indonesia too. Like they eat a lot of rice and veggies and even soups. Like in Indonesia, for like breakfast, you can have a bowl of rice and some kind of a veggie soup on top and eat it with your hands
Really?
Yeah, I love it. Like eating with hands, it's just an extra sense. And
I suppose, yeah.
Even I find it more healthy because you eat like slower than usual.
It's interesting when you say like sense, because like that's one thing my dad always used to say. Like he would eat. I think it's more of like a stereotypical thing, but whenever we got a Chinese takeaway, he would eat it with chopsticks. But he used to say, actually, I think it tastes better because of the wood rather than eating with metal. So I think even with what you're eating with can change the taste of foods. So it's interesting. Yeah, you get the feel, the touch with the smell and the taste.
Well, you obviously get the touch a lot more if you're eating it with your hands, because you actually feel the texture of the food, don't you? So,
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, sure. I think food is quite like I mean, you know me, we talk about it all the time, but food is quite an interesting topic in most countries.
Well, it's another one where us Brits kind of, going back to the Brits finding a bit of Britain abroad, a lot of people that travel look for somewhere that they can buy a burger or somewhere that they can buy chips or fish and chips and all that sort of stuff and try and replicate what we eat back home out there. Whereas that's one of the things that I love. Yes, I might not always experience the full culture of a country, but as often as I can, I really love to try other foods. Like I like to think of myself as quite adventurous with food. So yeah.
Yeah, the best places are always the little booths next to the roads. So yeah, it's fresh. It's
the street food, street markets.
Yeah, off the beaten track and away from the tourist areas for sure.
Yeah. And like we touched on, I made a note of this because John actually asked a question earlier about maybe keeping track of your music and stuff through a journal. And then I thought, well, actually, that would be a good question for people who are like looking to travel or are traveling and maybe they struggle with like organization or whatever. But like, what do you have like a typical routine whilst you're traveling to like stay? It's so easy to do to just fall into like the gap and just like be sluggish, like not really do anything sort of thing while you're traveling and not work or not look for an opportunity, like to become completely inactive. It's weird to say that because you have to be active to, find your accommodation and stuff. But I have for sure been in situations where I'm like, I just can't be bothered. I'm just going to book another night in this hostel and just stay here. Like it's quite easy to do that if you don't have like the right routine and stuff. And I was just wondering like, what do you have any, what are your techniques? Do you have anything?
Yeah. I usually have a rough plan in my head. Like when I was in Asia, I planned that okay, I'm kind of staying until the end of December in Malaysia, and then go to Indonesia for like 2 months. And
Sure.
so just a rough thing to lead my my
Plans,
plans
yeah.
or schedule. Yeah, and yeah, actually, I usually look up the country, like which part I want to see and visit. Look up some workaway places and just make the best combination of traveling,
Activities, yeah,
workaway,
sure.
look up the trains and buses and how to get there. And
then what about like
yeah.
a daily or a weekly routine? Like how do you make sure you get up in the morning and go see somewhere? Because you're like an active runner and quite dedicated to getting up early in the morning.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, what is your kind of thought process to keep yourself active during those moments, like daily, to get up and go do something?
Well, I like to get up early.
Yeah.
Which is like quite important for me.
What time is early? Because John's early is like 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
I'm the complete opposite. I'm a night owl. I like to stay up till like 2, 3 o'clock at night and get up about 10, 11 the next day.
Well, I couldn't do that. I mean, like for one day it's okay, but yeah, around 7, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, around 7, so that I can go for a run, and yeah, I can make a plan for the day. But usually I make a plan for a week.
Okay. And you write that down? Or just
not really.
Just thinking about it, like meditatively or whatever?
Yeah, just thinking about.
And you don't run every day, obviously. But
no. I would love to, but you can't. I mean, if you like doing workaway or traveling, you can't have a routine like that.
Yes.
You have to give up on some things.
Which you need to be more flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, like that's what I also do. I don't want to talk about it too much because I have my blog and people can read that if they want to. But I have a series of actions in a routine in the morning, and I just drop a couple of those to be flexible. But generally, I have like 5 items that I would complete. But maybe most mornings I only do 2 or 3 of those items just to keep myself active. Actually, I struggled with that when I first got here, but I think I had health issues anyway. But I was super tired. I had no routine, no plan, and it wasn't until where I actually sat down with the host and like spoke about it and said, "Hey, I need a routine." And then he was like, "Yeah, okay, let's start looking after the animals and the plants in the morning." So that's quite a nice routine. Like we wake up at 8 o'clock. Like we've carried this on. So we wake up at 8 o'clock. Just talk, be happy and ask each other how we are, good morning, etc. Have our tea or small breakfast, whatever. Look after we rotate the animals. So one of us looks after the animals and one of us does the plants, watering the plants. And I mean, that's pretty much it for the day. Like we're only house sitting here, so it's not too strenuous. Obviously other workaways, maybe you'd be working for much longer and doing much harder work, but it's quite relaxing that manner. But then we have we do our own things, right? Like you have your emails, you have tons of emails to reply to all the time and organizing your next trip. And me too, obviously, like I take the next few hours to read and write, and I'll be editing this at some point. And then we have the day to ourselves. So like that's what I kind of wanted to get across. Like it's not just fun and games. Like you need to kind of make some sort of rhythm, right?
Yeah. Schedule is really important, I think. And Actually, like you said that you talk to a host here in Leipzig to have a schedule. Like with Workaway, it's quite it varies a lot. Like in some places I've been doing Workaway, they had like a really strict schedule, like waking up at 7:30, sleeping, 8 breakfast, 8:30, whatever. So like in half an hour
Periods.
But in some places they don't have it, or maybe
I suppose that's the beauty of the opportunities that are available, because obviously you can go to one where you've got a more structured day on a day-to-day basis, or you can opt for something like you're doing now, whereby you've got maybe a few hours in the morning, and then the rest of the day, the afternoon, is yours to play with, so to speak.
Yeah.
I suppose. Sorry, go on, Rick.
Well, I was just going to say, like maybe we should go through like what we've done in the last 5 days, and then people can get an idea of like how it kind of works in more of a detailed. Yeah, you have it all written down in your journal.
Yeah.
Nice. See, this goes brilliantly with a question that I wanted to ask, because you've just pulled a journal out, and I was going to say, obviously we spoke earlier about your documenting your the different music experiences that you have, but I was also going to ask, do you routinely document your travels, whether that be a journal or photo albums or like video logs to yourself, so that you can just remind yourself of the experiences that you've had in different countries?
Yeah, sure. I mean, at home, I don't have it, and I actually miss it really much, because I feel that these things just dissolve.
Yeah.
And here I kind of have the
Motivation.
The motivation. Yeah, to write them down, even in just a short, just a few words is enough to bring back the memories and such. I'm quite messy, actually.
Yeah, I was just looking at it thinking, there's no way I could do that. But this is the thing, is like obviously it's personal to you, and so you read it and write it in a way that is your brain, because everyone's
you understand it, then you come back to it.
Actually, I'm quite like German in that respect, that it's lines, rows and columns, or my journal. So
yeah, but I have different journals, like one for the things I've been doing, and one for like myself, like writing down, I don't know, feelings or impressions or whatever. It's without.
Yeah, like a well-being journal.
Yeah, kind of. Yes. And sometimes I draw things. Sometimes I just record some tunes on my phone.
Actually, like I try to use my journal as much as possible. So like even right now I'm writing podcast notes as we go through, and just when I go, if I ever read back through it, I can see, oh, that day I did the podcast, and oh wow, like these are all the notes I was making, and like I've even taken it like traveling with me on hikes, and if I needed directions, the guy would I'd get someone to write it down for me in my journal, and then like I have all the directions written down in my diary, and it just, I don't know, it feels a little bit more like memorabilia. It feels like it means more than just a set of instructions, sort of thing.
When I have kept a diary, not that I do it particularly frequently, I've always liked to do it retrospectively, so the day after. So I would do something one day and write about it the next morning, so that I haven't forgotten it, because it's still fresh in my mind, but I was able to be present in the moment the day before. One of the things that I've not really been a fan of, I know that it's different for Ricky with what he's trying to achieve with the videos for his blog, but I've never personally been a fan of taking a video or taking a photo. I know that sounds weird, but if I'm doing something, I'd rather look at it and experience it through my eyes and ears rather than through a phone or a camera that I'm holding in front of my face. So I always like to write about it the next day, but then I obviously lose out on having a photograph or a video of the experience.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go through the last few days. So should we start from like Thursday and get to here? Where are we today? That shows my organisation.
Sunday.
So maybe let's start from like, what's 5 days? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. So okay, let's start from like Wednesday, I guess. Actually, this is a new journal for me, so it's blank, and so I don't have my I don't have my notes in front of me.
Yeah, so on Wednesday,
Yeah.
I did the watering and you did the animals.
Right, you even know that part.
Sure. We went for grocery shopping and then we did our things in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then we met a German girl called Alex.
Okay. Oh, that was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
For hummus.
Yeah, for hummus.
Yeah.
And we...
One of those vegetarian restaurants that I was talking about.
Yeah. And then they came over with Jihae, the Korean girl.
Yeah, and another girl from couch surfing on Dina.
Yeah.
And we just chilled out in the garden, had a couple of drinks, conversation and that. Yeah, so okay, so Thursday.
Thursday, it was the other way around with the work. And we went to, I went to a cafe and for my film role to fetch. And then we went to the lake with Jihae, to Cozy.
Cozy, yeah. Because so that's another thing we haven't actually mentioned that. Surrounding Leipzig, it's really, really green in Leipzig.
And it's so great that you can like get to the nature in 20 minutes.
Yeah, always 20 minutes. And literally the lake is also 20 minutes away. And it's just a cycle down the canal or the river, or there's like a main road that goes there as well. But yeah, you go to these lakes, but they were, I think they were coal mines originally. I could have the wrong mineral. Is coal a mineral? Material? Whatever, doesn't matter.
Just say the wrong mine.
Yeah, the wrong mine. Anyway, obviously they finished with it, and they just filled it in with water, and they've like made some makeshift beaches around the sides, and so yeah, it's like a beach in Germany. Yeah,
it's an artificial lake.
Yeah, it's nice. It was super chill. Like we went there yesterday as well. So okay, so that was Thursday. We went to the beach. Friday, I know we had Korean food because we went to Jihae's house. That was nice. What do we do during the day though? Anything?
Oh, I should have done some work, but didn't. I don't know.
I can't really remember Friday too much. I think I just worked all day.
We went to the city.
Oh yeah, to buy some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we just had a little bit of a shopping day. Saturday.
Canoeing, kayaking.
Yes, yeah. Yesterday. Okay. So actually yesterday was quite action packed. Like we got up, we went kayaking. We got a two-person kayak. It was so hot yesterday, so it was really nice. And dude, it's so cheap. Actually, I'm going to mention that about Leipzig as well. I genuinely think for a good lifestyle, Leipzig is really amazing. Like it's cheap. It gives you that option to do stuff like gyms, and I don't know what gym prices are like, but you don't need the gym. Like the kayak was €6 each, so 12 euros for 2 hours. And obviously you're working on your arms and your chest and even your stomach. Like you're a lot of core energy when you're kayaking. Yeah, sure. And then, like I said, you're cycling around the city all the time. Really, to stay healthy and fit, it would be harder to be unhealthy, I think, in Leipzig.
Yeah.
So after the kayaking, you had a job opportunity
Oh yeah, I had a kind of interview.
Yeah, I did a little bit more blog work, but then I went to the beach where I met Jihei again, and then Zsòfi came a little bit later. And then Zsòfi's been keeping on about dancing for the last week or so. So Alex suggested this like techno party, and it was just it was on a field. There was a few tents, and just as you do, dance in the middle of a field to techno music.
Great, big one.
Yeah,
I love dancing.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
No, I know, Rick.
I think it's because I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
I've tried to teach you.
I was teaching you salsa in Spain.
Well, taxi driver's friend was more teaching me salsa, but
yeah, but she was my contact, so it counts, And actually, just to mention that as well, like the contact building and friendship building. So Alex, the German girl, I actually met her through. I went on a free walking tour. That's something I always generally do when I go to a city, just to get the basic tourist information done and out of the way.
Yeah.
And so I met this guy. He happened to be a filmmaker, and he was showing his movie about couch surfing. And so he was already friends with this girl, Alex, already. But anyway, that's how I met her. And then obviously I introduced her to Zsòfi, and just through that sort of contact, then that allowed us to go out. And those sort of like contacts and networking really makes your trip a little bit nicer. Like you see even more culture, and you get to do even more things and meet even more great people.
Yeah, it's great. And it's really nice to have you, Ricky, because I'm not very social. Like in a way, it's not easy for me to the first contact, like
the first interaction.
Yeah, the first interaction. And it's great.
Yeah.
So that now I have.
So Ricky's been a bit of an icebreaker, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, meeting people all the time, especially backpackers, every single one, or not every single one, some of them are arseholes, but most of the time, you'll get some sort of inspiration from them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's why
it's experience sharing, I suppose. And once somebody's told you something and you think that sounds good, I suppose it gives you another thing on your list to go and do and tick off as well.
Yeah, or perspective.
Yeah, or even just that, just somebody else's different way of looking at something.
Which is why I really wanted to do this podcast. Like we did a few people in our area. I think we did a few, but I left them off of YouTube. But I think I've uploaded 4 of them. And it was interesting even with those 4, even though they're like in one place, what's the word I'm looking for? Stationary. And they're not moving around. They still had interesting stories to tell, and they're just like an average person. Like they're not a celebrity. And when you're meeting backpackers, again, everyone has a different story why they're traveling and how they're traveling, and their beliefs, their virtues, their values. I tend to find more people who are backpacking are either like discovering their values, or they already kind of have them established and they're just like interested in learning other people, sort of thing. I just think so many people have a great story, which is why I wanted to do this with backpackers. I think it's really interesting. Like already I've had my first stay, we're now talking with Zsòfi. I think it's great.
It is, yeah. I mean, when you started the podcast, I didn't expect it to turn into this, but it's nice to speak to people that are from completely different cultures, because I normally wouldn't get the chance to. So
it's nice. That's nice as well.
I had a bit of a forward-going question. I'm aware that I think I'm aware that Ricky's current goal was to get across to Australia. I don't know if that's still correct. I know there's been talks of America and Canada.
I think my long-term plans are out the window at the moment.
Yeah, well, of course, with COVID, it's very difficult. But I was just interested to know, Zsòfi, if you've got, I mean, I know obviously with COVID it might not be possible at the moment, but if you had a sort of planned route of where it was that you wanted to travel on this specific trip, or do you go to some place and then go back to Hungary and then go to some place and keep returning home to and from?
Well, I keep it returning. That's the coffee machine.
Fucking scared the hell out of me. Okay, let's wait for it to do its thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I've had to mute a few times because our boiler in the kitchen has started making some noise, but it's been thankfully at times where I've not been speaking, so happened right when I asked the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I keep going back. It's because I kind of find this half year, like spending half year abroad, is kind of enough for me, I would say, and I start missing people and yeah, mostly people back home, and also with the choir, it's just yeah, I feel that I'm missing out, and I love to do that too. So I kind of have to have a compromise. So yeah, I'm not planning to go on an unlimited traveling.
An unexpected journey.
Yeah. And also because of financial reasons too, because I have to really save for my trips. Like the wages in Hungary are not very high, and
so they take a bit of planning, a bit of prep work before you can get going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whereas I'm kind of the complete opposite.
Yeah, I know, you're just on the fly, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I think we've been going for a while now. Yeah, the question I ask everyone, and I kind of warned you about this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Just like, what kind of words of advice, or like what has really inspired you to keep going? Or, I mean, everyone feels a bit down from time to time, especially when you're traveling. You can be hit quite hard. You don't have people around you because you're solo traveling. So like, what do you do? Yeah. What do you do to like deal with those situations, or what would you advise other people?
Yeah, it's like, if you feel that you need some change, then you definitely, like, even if like slightly, then you should make it, and you should be aware that you are the one that leads your life and who makes your decisions, and yeah, even sometimes I have to remind myself to this, and
sure.
And basically. No,
I think that's honestly, I think that's nice. Yeah.
Maybe it sounds a bit of a cliche word.
Sure, but like a lot of it is. But like you said, you have to remind yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And when people are listening, it's nice for them to be reminded too, and it might just give them enough motivation or inspiration just to get up and make a change.
Yeah.
And that just comes from just you saying that. And again, like, we're just normal, average people. There's nothing spectacularly special about us in the eyes of society. So just the power that you have to do that is nice, and like, yeah, every person that I get on this podcast has that power, basically.
Mm.
Everyone has it in general, but yeah. So cool. We'll end it there. You enjoyed it, John?
Yeah. feels good to be back.
And
Yeah, it was
nice,
good.
nice questions. Like it was really great to have you, John.
Oh, trust me, I really wish I could travel more. Yeah. What about you, Sophie? Are you staying till the 6th, or are you going back to Budapest? Or
No, I'm staying. Well, according to my plans, like until the end of August.
cool.
Mm.
No, fair enough.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I guess I'll leave you guys to your afternoon. All right. Well, it was good to meet you, Sophie, and all the best with future travels and endeavours.
Thank you for you too. I mean,
Take care. Yeah.
it's lovely to speak to you. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Yeah, we'll finish up and I'll see you with the next podcast.